Hey everyone, it's technology expert Burton Kelso with another tech tip to help you get the most out of the technology in your life. Today we're talking about how to buy a used or pre-owned desktop or laptop computer. In the pandemic, more people have been going for used devices as opposed to buying something new. And there's nothing wrong with buying a used laptop or desktop computer, but there's some things that you need to make sure that you're aware of before you buy a desktop or a laptop computer. Now, it doesn't matter what brand you have, because I'm going to talk about Apple. I love how that goofs up the screen. But we're going to talk about Apple, and we're going to talk about Windows devices. And although this is a Dell, doesn't matter which device you have or going to get, these tips are going to apply to everyone. So I'm going to be switching between laptops as I go through these tips, because not every laptop has the same features built into it. Same thing with desktop computers. Probably most of these tips are going to just cover some aspect of a desktop computer, but hopefully we'll cover everything so that you can confidently go out and buy a used computer. So with that said, let's start with our tip. So tip number one, if we can get it up there, is look for any physical damage on the computer. Now that's important because it could have been that the desktop computer was kicked, the laptop was dropped, and usually physical damage means that you don't need to buy the device. Now, to give you a little background about these two laptop computers I have, this is a 2011 MacBook, and as you can see, it is in pretty decent condition without reflection there. Keyboard's kind of dirty, but at the same time, the laptop itself is in excellent physical shape. The only thing that's kind of wrong with this laptop is that it has a key that is, if I can move it over a little bit, wrong way, that the N has been notched out of, but the keyboard itself works fine. Now this Dell, I believe it's a 2015 Dell laptop computer, and it has no physical damage whatsoever. So when you buy a desktop or a laptop computer that's pre-owned, you definitely want to make sure that there is no damage or very little damage on your device to ensure that it's been well taken care of and that it's not going to cause any problems down the road. Our next tip, and I've kind of already shown you this, but to make sure that the screen is in good shape. Now, as far as that's concerned, that is not going to be a problem with a desktop computer unless you buy a desktop computer that comes with a monitor. So obviously, if you're getting a monitor with your desktop computer, you want to make sure that you do the physical check on the monitor to verify that the monitor is in good shape. And the same thing with the laptop. Without not showing too much reflection here with the MacBook, make sure that the screen is pristine and you don't see any discoloration with the laptop screen as you would with the monitor. You can see that monitor there is kind of old, but there is no imperfections with that monitor. Same thing with this Dell laptop computer. And there's going to be a lot of handling stuff today on this tech tip. But again, make sure that the computer is in decent shape as far as the monitor is concerned, because you don't want to see any discoloration on the monitor, which is a sign, if it's getting discolored, that the monitor itself is leading towards a end of life. So same thing with desktop monitors, laptop monitors, you want to make sure that the screen is in decent shape. Now, the next tip is kind of hard to visualize because although this is important, it's something that you would have to make sure that you are in contact with in order to make sure it's going to work. Now, keep this in mind because this affects both laptop and desktop computers. Make sure that the wireless is working on the computer. In our digital age, it's important that we have access to Wi-Fi. We're using Wi-Fi wherever we go. If we've got a mobile laptop, that kind of defeats the purpose of it saying a mobile laptop. But anyway, a laptop versus a desktop. A desktop wireless is important because we may have an office or a location in our home that we need Wi-Fi in order to connect this stuff. So it's important because it may not do you any good if you get a desktop computer that you have to run wires to and your routers are across the home. Wi-Fi is the only option. Now you can get a USB wireless adapter for your desktop computer to make it wireless, but if the desktop computer that you are thinking of purchasing has wireless built in, you obviously want to make sure that the wireless works. Same thing for a laptop computer. If you're wanting to make sure that Wi-Fi is connected, the thing that you need to do is to make sure that you get your hands on the laptop or an even desktop and hook it up to wireless to make sure that the wireless is working properly. Now, the bad thing about the whole wireless instance with purchasing a pre-owned laptop or even a desktop computer is that you need to make sure that it's going to work at a decent speed. Challenge with wireless on computers is the fact that Wi-Fi can fail in many different ways. Number one, it may not just work at all. Number two, you may have an instance where Wi-Fi will connect for a little bit, but then it disconnects from the wireless network because there's problems with the Wi-Fi in the device. Sometimes that can be updated with the driver, but for most intents and purposes, Wi-Fi is either going to work or it's not going to work. So make sure that it's going to work. One of the best ways to connect to Wi-Fi to make sure it's going to stay connected for an extended time is to go to your favorite YouTube channel once you're on the laptop and make sure that you're able to stream video or music for at least 10 minutes without any drop-ins. Next thing is speed with the wireless. You can find out if the Wi-Fi adapter is a 2.4 or 5 gigahertz adapter. If it's 5 gigahertz, it definitely should be pulling high speed. But when buying a laptop, make sure that you understand what speed you're supposed to be getting when you're testing it out versus what the actual laptop is getting as far as speed is concerned. But check that wireless, because I'm sure with either a desktop or a laptop, wireless is probably one of the things that you want to have in order to use it. Now, on a desktop, may not be as important, but on a laptop, you are obviously using a mobile device. So it's very important that you have a device that's mobile. Our next tip is pretty darn simple and straightforward. Test the USB ports, video ports, and the CD and DVD drive. You want everything to work. And it can be a challenge when you're thinking about the things that should work on your newfangled laptop. So I'm here to tell you all the things that you need to check out. Now, unfortunately, well, maybe this is the case on my Mac. The Mac does have a CD drive built into it. If I get my Windows computer situated, there's the CD drive there. Now, most people don't use CD drives or CDs, but that doesn't mean if you're getting an older laptop that you can't make sure that the CD drive is working on it. So make sure that you have your favorite CD or DVD, stick it in the drive and make sure that it's going to work. Now on this Dell, it's a moot point because since it's a newer computer, it doesn't even have a CD drive on it. So you don't have to test the CD drive on a computer if it doesn't come with a drive. But what you want to test is the USB ports, which both the Mac and the Windows computer has. So make sure you carry your favorite USB stick to stick it in the USB to make sure that it recognizes a USB device. One of the other things that I would recommend too is checking the video. What if you're going to use this laptop to connect to a larger monitor? You definitely want to make sure on this computer the HDMI port is going to work on the Windows computer. And on the Macintosh computer, even though it's not made anymore, if you get a newer Mac, it's going to have an HDMI port, so you want to make sure that it has it on there. But also, the video connection port, which is on this older Mac, you might want to check that as well to make sure that it's going to work. Now, the other thing that I didn't mention in my slide was the fact that you probably do need to check the plug-in network port on the computer. So make sure that you are plugging an Ethernet cable, if possible, into the laptop to make sure that if you have to utilize Ethernet on your laptop as opposed to wireless, that you're making sure that the Ethernet port is working on the computer. Now, a little funny thing that I was going to recommend that's hard to replace on your Mac, if you get a Mac laptop, make sure that the Apple light comes on the laptop. Not important, but I thought I'd throw that out there just for the heck of it. Our next tip is to make sure that you check out the keyboard and the trackpad. Now, I don't know why I said R, my tips, but yes, definitely check out the keypad and the keyboard and the trackpad, or the keypad as I call it. Now, one of the most important things as far as the trackpad is concerned on a laptop is to make sure that there is no bulge coming from the trackpad, and I'll show you on both the Windows and the Mac. Now, the trackpad, let's see if we can get a display on this rather than showing my monitor. There we go. So the trackpad, as you can see, it's nice and flat on this Macintosh computer. Same thing with the trackpad on the Dell computer. Now, the trackpad is important, obviously, because you want to be able to maneuver around and use it like a mouse, but that's where the battery normally sits on your laptops. So if you see any bulge or if it's sticking out or it won't work, it could be a sign that the battery is about to fail on the laptop and it needs to be replaced. The trackpad should be flat and you should be able to maneuver it with your finger. Also, the keyboard, obviously, check all the keys to make sure that the keys are working. Now, again, on this MacBook, it's got a keyboard that's got the goofy key that's missing. As you can see, the end key's gone, but at the same time, the key works, so it doesn't matter. I'm a good typist, so I know where it goes. Number 6, you got to check out that webcam and the speakers. In this age we live in, you are going to want to do a Zoom call or some type of video conferencing call. Now, we'll say in a lot of instances, the camera and sometimes the speakers on laptop computers are horrible. That's the best word I can put for it. But yeah, the cameras aren't up to par. So sometimes if you want good video quality, you will have to purchase a third-party camera to mount on your computer. But it's a good idea to make sure that the webcam is working. You're putting out a lot of money for the computer, so make sure the webcam's working. Now, this isn't a tip, obviously, that you have to worry about if you get a desktop computer, but I will say, if you are getting a bundle with a desktop and they are including a webcam, make sure it works before you make the purchase. Same thing with speakers. Laptop speakers are built in, so sometimes the speaker isn't going to work the way that it's supposed to, but test it out to make sure that it's going to be within your requirements of what you need as far as speakers are concerned on a laptop computer. Now, speaking of that bulge, as far as the battery is concerned on your laptop computer, check the health of the battery. That's important because obviously with a laptop, it's a portable device. So you want a battery that's going to last a while. So the best way to check this out is when you get the laptop powered up, make sure it's going to be able to run without battery. As you can see, the Mac is on. There's no battery attached. And with this Mac, I can probably get about a couple of hours of battery life. I like how I knocked my camera over. Let's move that back. There we go. Now it looks like the way it should. Same thing on the Dell. Running without battery, and the battery on this will last a couple of hours, if not more, especially with it being a new computer. Now, next thing that you need to check out on your computer is to make sure that you have some protection after the purchase. And that essentially means this. Now, to break it down, if you were to purchase a computer from Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, really no guarantee for the computer unless you really know what you're doing. Now, I will say that I've purchased several computers online, and with me being a tech expert, it's never been a problem with me trying everything out to make sure that the things are going to work the way they should. But if you aren't tech savvy and you just want to buy a computer to save some money, your best bet is to just make sure that you purchase it from a place like Amazon or one of the other online stores like eBay, because you're going to get some type of protection after the purchase. If you're an online seller with eBay or with Amazon, you have to guarantee that the product is going to work. So if you're unsure, you don't have to run all of these tests, but you can run them after you get them. But under most circumstances, if you are purchasing from an online retailer, they have to guarantee that all of the things that I've mentioned will work. But if you're going to risk it and try to buy it off of Facebook Marketplace or some of the other online resellers, make sure that you are meeting the person face to face so that you can try out all of the features on the device before you pay cash for it. And whatever you do for any electronic device, do not do the electronic pay, as it is very hard for you to get a refund if you send money in advance and get a shoddy laptop. Make sure you test it out first. You can do electronic pay later after you test out your laptop and desktop computer to make sure that it's working. Don't do it in advance, because some people either A, are being nefarious and want to sell you something that's cruddy, or B, they don't know what to look for, and so they're just selling it, and they're inadvertently selling you something that doesn't work. One last tip I was going to add, and it's kind of difficult to do with the desktop computer. Make sure that if you're able, take apart the desktop computer to make sure that there isn't that much dust inside of the computer. Someone's selling it. They should have dusted it out with canned air, but you definitely want to check it out to make sure that you don't have to clean it out, because dust is a major killer when it comes to both laptop and desktop computers. So with that said, that was a lot. That was a lot of information. Anyway, with that said, if you got comments or questions, be sure to leave them in the comment section below. Would love to hear from you to find out things I can answer about purchasing pre-owned laptop and desktop computers, and any other tech tips and tricks that you want answers to. I always have to throw this out here, but if you liked this video, be sure to like and share and subscribe with all of your friends and family members so that they too can get the most from the technology that they use at home and at work. So I love technology. I've read all the manuals, and I'm serious about making technology fun and easy to use for everyone. Take care of yourself and do many things to make you smile, and thanks for watching.